Well, maybe Giorgia, do you want to start with a few words?
Yes, basically, we were working together on a couple of projects with Myriam, even though we belong to two different companies. And we came across the event and we thought, okay, maybe we need to share our experience. And many times working in a LSP, now I'm working on the customer side and the client side, we saw that working with technology arise many fears, many concerns. So the title that we wanted to give to our presentation was Catching the Unicorn, because this sort of wedding, this marriage between technologies and quality sometimes is lost on the way. So many companies decided to either not to go for technology options because they are too concerned that the quality output won't be there. So we want to show a special recipe, no secrets actually, but how to catch these unicorns. So how to have programs that blend together technology and quality.
Thank you, Giorgia. Let me just see. Okay. So on the technical side of things, that's my part, because I belong to the operations side of things. And at Kobalt Languages, what means to be on the operations side is that you have to be able to analyze the client's needs and offer them efficient solutions by using the latest technology available. And well, as you can see in the presentation, and we will discuss this further, we currently are using machine translation, automations, and integrations, which is closely related to what Klaus was explaining on the first presentation, and then artificial intelligence, among some other technologies. The use of these technologies has clearly several internal advantages for us as an LSP, but we want to focus on now or today on the benefits for our clients. And I would say that the main one is, in fact, the one that it's the third on the list. So with more efficient processes, we are able to have a faster turnaround time and make the client spend less money. However, it goes without saying that to do that, we want to maintain the highest level of quality in the product or service that we deliver. In the following examples, I'll share with you three scenarios in which the technology took a high part on delivering the service, but where quality was also maintained. So on the first case here, as you can see, one of our clients needed to have quite a huge volume of words translated within the same day. To give you a little bit of context, the documents that the client sent us were PDF files with safety data sheets, so quite technical content that we needed to translate from English into Spanish. The client was trying to pass a certification, and one of the requirements was to have those sheets translated into Spanish. However, the client was not willing to spend much on this, and the quality was not an issue for them. So what we did, we presented them with several options to let the client decide which one adjusted to their needs. So bearing this in mind, they decided that they wanted to use raw machine translation to translate the documents and deliver them on time and within the budget. Once we had the client's expectations in terms of quality clear, what we did was DTP the PDFs to Word documents to assure that the MT engine would give us the best results, clean the tags, the double spaces, unnecessary paragraph breaks, and so on. Then we tested a few engines with a sample of the original text. And once we have the sample translated, we evaluated the results and then chose the machine translation engine that had the best performance for this specific text. After that, we just proceeded to translate the complete text using the engine chosen. Even if the client didn't ask us to, we run QA to spot format and number issues. We solve them and then deliver the final documents to our client. In this case, as you can see, we could deliver the product complying with the client's quality expectations, but making use of machine translation. Then, in this second scenario, and close to what Klaus discussed as well on the first presentation today, I want to share with you a workflow that we created for a recurrent type of projects that we have for some of our most important clients. In this particular case, the story goes back almost 7 years ago. So this client had the need to translate internal communications for their employees, initially into 8 different languages. What they did at the beginning was share the source file with us, which was a Word document. Then we would, work on the translations and send them back to them. One day, when we met with them to, talk about the collaboration and how we could make their life easier, they told us that once they received the translations, they had to copy and paste each one of them to their CMS. So they were spending a huge amount of time copying and pasting content, which added basically 0 value to their work. Together, we came up with the idea of creating a connector, an integration that would in fact connect their CMS with Kobalt's dedicated platform that we would build to enable them to request and receive the translations directly to their CMS. After some programming and testing, the connection was built and we started working with the workflow that you can see on the presentation. By saving time and resources, they went from 8 languages into 22 different languages, which is the number of languages we work with for this client on a daily basis now. As you can see in the graph, we also automated some other parts of the process. Once we did the integration, we found out that a lot of things could be automated as well. So the process goes like this. So the client requests the translation on their own CMS. Then we receive those requests on our own dedicated platform, which is also connected to our own TMS by an API. And the project is automatically created in the TMS and also in our CAD tool by using a predefined template and settings. The TMS we are also using, also has the option to automatically send either job offers or assignments to validated vendors for this client. So once the task is assigned to the vendor, they work on the translation directly on our CAD tool server, and then it is proofread. After that, the PM in charge runs QA to have a last check of the deliverables. And then when they validate the file in our CAD tool, it is automatically delivered to the client CMS, going through all these steps that we were mentioning before. So in this example, there are clearly three advantages. First, by using an integration, we solved the problem that our client had, which was, spending time copying and pasting content. The second advantage is that by using automations, we are able to deliver the translated content faster. As you can imagine, assigning translators and reviewers for 22 languages would take quite a long time. By using templates and predefined settings, we can do that within minutes and with just one click in our TMS. Therefore, the project managers can focus on other aspects within the project. Let's say, solve questions, update glossaries, and any other things that add value to the translation process. I mentioned two, and the third advantage was to increase the number of projects and languages from this client. Since the client had to spend less time copying and pasting, they could invest more time on creating content, which led to more opportunities for us, which clearly added value to the client and also to Kobalt, which it's a win-win, let's say. Then on the last example that I wanted to share with you today, the artificial intelligence plays a great part too. In this case, we received a 10-hour video from one of our clients in the field of human resources. They were internal presentations that they would later share with their employees. And in this case, no translation was needed by the client. So it was a speech-to-text project without the translation step. It is not mentioned on the slide, but the source language was Spanish, which, it is a wide spoken language around the world. So AI has a lot of data which it can learn from. If we focus on the human approach, we calculated that a trained transcriber without using AI would spend 1 hour to transcribe approximately 6 minutes of audio. So in this case, in the 120 hours of work, we have included the amount transcription and also the revision by another transcriber. In what we have called AI approach, the time spent on these tasks decreases by approximately 40%. The AI, of course, takes some time to process those 600 minutes. And then we also needed to add the time of a transcriber that he or she would invest in reviewing the AI result. We were quite generous on the working time for the AI approach, to be honest. It is also worth mentioning that the same way it happens with machine translation, the AI learns by doing. So in the case of our automated speech to text, what today might be, 10 hours of work, surely will decrease in the future, since more data will be available at the time of performing the transcription. In this case, in terms of quality, we were able to follow the high standards that the client had, since we did include a human revision to the automated speech-to-text step. As you can imagine, these are only 3 of the many cases we use technology to be more efficient at Kobalt. But we wanted to highlight these 3 because they were 3 different ones. And those were also 3 very beneficial solutions to our clients' problems. So now it is time for me to pass the mic back to Giorgia, who will show you how the magic is done in terms of quality.
Let's go there. So if you can move to the next slide already, Myriam. I wanted to start this part about quality definition, and actually I took a picture, picture that was shared by one of my previous managers that was very representative to me. So I'm using every single time that I want to talk about quality. You're free to use it. My former manager would be happy about that. But I also wanted to quote Elena from the previous speech when she said, other people that took part to the survey, they wanted to know how they perceive quality, MT quality. So perception is very important when we talk about quality. And it's really important to set a framework whenever we work with quality, because otherwise objectivity will always be there. What's quality? What's quality for us? Because for us that have a linguistic background, we might think quality in a very academic way. So the number of edits that you need to implement on a piece, an output for having 0 errors, like grammar errors or a stickiness to a guideline and so on. But for an end customer, quality might be totally different. We might tend to think also to limit quality to linguistic quality of the output, but on the customer side, actually quality might include also timeliness or the service that they're receiving. So it's very important when we talk about quality to really define what's quality. And we also need to take into account the level of tolerance when we talk about quality, because the level of tolerance to issues might change depending on the industry you're working within, the business that you are building as well, the specific agreement that you sign with your customer. So there are some industries that are more tolerant to issues. And some that are less tolerant. So I'm just having this idea of QRD, that's a specific document in life sciences that has a lot of requirements, and if the requirements are not met, the project is rejected. So of course, in those cases, the level of tolerance is very, very little. But there are some other cases in which there might be, HR internal communication, corporate internal communication, in which the level of understandability, if the message is properly passed on, it's fine. So the level of tolerance might be higher. So it's really important that whenever you talk about quality, no matter the technology you're deploying, it's something that goes far beyond the technology. And this is the message that we wanted to bring on today. So it's not what technology you decide to implement, but it's how you treat quality, how you decide to define quality with all stakeholders involved in a project. Can you go to the next slide, please? And the next slide is very Italian. I'm Italian from the south. Well, Pirelli is from the north, but still, I wanted to use this picture from, it's by Annie Leibovitz for Pirelli. And this is a very famous slogan in Italy. So power is nothing without control. And I wanted to use it here because actually power can be replaced in our context today by technology. And technology is nothing without quality control. So this is very linked to the very first thing that I said, but technology is really powerful and can bring a lot of benefits to ourselves as a language service provider, but also, as Myriam was saying before, to our customers. But it's really important to keep under control everything that we are using. So to do that, my suggestion, and also the ISO standard for quality suggestion, is implementing a quality management system. So very often, there are three acronyms that are used in a very interchangeable way, but they are not. So please be careful when you talk about quality control or QC, quality assurance or QA, or quality management system. So the quality management system is like the umbrella term, and it's a set of elements that you use to establish policies or objective to and to achieve those objectives, or also a set of elements that you use to direct and control an organization as far as quality is concerned. And the quality management system is made by two main pillars. Let's say there are quality control and quality assurance. And quality control, this is the ISO definition, is fulfilling quality requirements, while quality assurance is providing confidence that quality requirements will be fulfilled. What does that mean? Please, plain language. So basically, to tell it in another way, quality control are all the actions that you take for assuring that, for having an output that is sticking to certain requirements that you fix, that you decided together with your customers, or that you decided to implement accordingly to the standard, the industry you work in. Quality assurance are the plans. So basically, quality assurance are the processes, and quality control are the procedures that you put in place. And the quality management system is this system of documentation and monitoring of the two components of QA and QC. What are the pillars of the quality management system? So this is also based on the on an ISO standard, the 17100, 2015, is inspired on that standard. But in order to have a quality management systems that really works, you need to take at least into account these three main pillars. So language assets, people, and feedback loop. As far as language assets are concerned, they need to be very dynamic. So you really need to build your language assets, meaning term-based, guidelines, instructions, any kind of communication or requirements from the customer. They need to be very dynamic. So it should be easy to update them. They need to be up to date, not just in accordance to your customers, but also to the trends of the industry. And they need to be traceable. This is really, really important, because many times the language assets are updated based on feedback that you receive. And if you lose control of who requested that change on your language asset, you might face some issues, some communication issues, let's say, with your customers. So it's really important that whenever you update your language assets, you add extra information, you delete information, keep a log in each asset about who changed what and when. So it's your safety net, for using a metaphor, for keeping control on everything that's happening there. When it comes to people, for instance, it's very important that you work with experienced people, but also certified people. What does that mean? So you can build your own certification process. There are a lot of certification out there, but if you know that you're working with specific standards or customers requiring specific things, specific requirements, sorry for the wordplay, you might build your certification system. In Happy Scribe, we did that. So we have different tests per language and also per content type. We work with both transcription and subtitles, and the set of skills that the professionals we work with need when they treat either transcription or subtitles are different. So we have built our certification process. So we have people that can work on transcription and people that can work on subtitles. Next steps will be also trying to specialize our pool of linguists by, of course, field of expertise. Right now, the content that we have received so far has been so generic that we haven't identified a specific area for our linguists to specialize in. We can find and source a specific professional if we receive any specific request by our customers. But in general, we have a certification process that based on the set of skills needed for treating transcription and subtitles. And then you need to assess your people. It's very important that you continuously assess and keep track of the people you're working with, and you control their performance. So in many cases, there are companies in which there is a specific team called vendor managers, or even the project manager are in charge of that. It's very important that you keep it stored somewhere and it's accessible to anyone that wants to use your resources within your team or within your company to have access to these performance score of people that you're working with. Because again, depending on the tolerance of the customer, of the topic, or of the industry you're working with, some people might have the skills that are enough for doing a job, but some other might not. And then the third pillar is the feedback loop. The feedback loop needs to be cross-functional, meaning that should not be treated in silos. Many times, what I saw when working with in an LSP, the feedback that's received by customer success is not shared with the production team, and never gets to the linguistic team, or directly from the salesperson to the linguist, and it's like, okay, what's happening here? So it's important that the feedback is kept cross-functional, in a cross-functional way. So all stakeholders need to be aware of the feedback received by several parties. I mean, it should be mutual, not just from the customer, but also linguists might suggest, might have feedback that can actually improve the relationship with the customers. The same thing with project managers, account manager, and so on. The feedback needs to be documented. I'm a bit obsessed, and you might have noticed that everything needs to be traceable, everything needs to be recorded, everything needs to be accessible. So please document the feedback that you receive. It happened to me in the past and keeps happening here, unfortunately, that whenever you work with big teams and you have several people on your customer side, these people, we tend to give for granted that these people are talking to each other, but sometimes they don't. So sometimes they just perform their reviews rushing from one task to another, and they really don't have time to talk with the rest of their team. So they might implement a change that they decided themselves without sharing this decision with the rest of their team. You use that feedback, you take for granted or assume that that feedback is general, and you change your language asset according to that feedback, and then you receive a complaint from another team member because who told you to treat that acronym in that way. So please document your feedback and keep track of who is sharing what, and don't let that feedback die. So whenever you receive your feedback, a piece of feedback from someone, besides documenting, because if you're just documenting, that's useless, try to build your action plan based on that. And the actions that the feedback that you give and you should receive should be shaped in a way that's actionable. You really need to be able to take actions after receiving or giving some feedback. Here I wanted to, I think it's quite interesting. This is something that I recycled from a presentation and an event I joined. There are several frameworks of reference in the industry. These are the most common: LISA, MQM, DQF, NER, and TR, blah, blah, blah. They work for different genres, let's say, or different type of content. Some are good for written translation. I didn't include any for interpreting, but I'm pretty sure that there's something out there. This is not meant to be exhaustive. It's just the ones that I at some point I came across with, or I experimented a bit. My golden rule and my biggest piece of advice: refer to these, but if none really apply to your case, try to build your own as well and mix together. I mean, unless you have to comply with any specific requirement, just try and experiment with them. So now, for instance, I'm working in the speech-to-text industry, And when I joined Happy Scribe, it was early 2022, and I wasn't aware that the FAR and the CIA were released. They were released at the end of 2021. So when I joined Happy Scribe, I found myself in the situation of creating a quality framework without having no idea of the subtitling speech-to-text world. So what I did was taking the MQM model and adapting the categories to the categories that were relevant for my industry, my current industry, and applying the severity in a way that was reasonable for our company and for the customers we work with. And we created a formula for putting a score, a quality score to our outputs. But yeah, that's a result, again, of adjusting the MQM model to our needs. And the very last slide, so it's based on the 7 quality management principles. And it's also the biggest advice they always share. Please don't treat quality as an add-on. Don't treat quality in a silos way. So quality affects everything, affects everyone, affects each stakeholder involved, the client-facing roles, non-client-facing roles. The third principle of the quality management system listed here is leadership. And I really love this one, because be the leader of the quality program in your company. Evangelize quality within your company. Don't let quality to be treated as something isolated just when a complaint arises. Engage people and have everyone on board and make everyone understand that quality is a goal for every team, and having always customer in mind. That's also super important. All these things might seem obvious, but you don't know how many times it was just a matter of putting it clear and explicitly to simply improve their relationship with the customers, because most of the time it's not technology related, it's not language related. All the issues that you might have with your customers are issues related to the relationship that you build with your customer. So put clear expectations with them, and whatever is the technology that you decide to deploy, if any issues arise, if you have data with yourself, that will be just magic. And I think that's it.